Good morning everyone, and welcome to another live session today. So today's workshop is about how you can code your own Telegram bot for Raspberry Pi. Now this is very useful. It will help you automate several tasks, sending messages to others, and even doing trivial things like turning on the lights, or it can literally do anything that is programmatically possible. So the sky is the limit, so you can do pretty much everything using this. So let's get straight into it. All right, so let's start by talking a little about the assembly. So the assembly is basically a smart lab based out of N5 since December 2014, and over the course of around 6 years we have provided around 200 free workshops. These workshops are for the community and done by the community, and they are free. We don't charge you anything for these workshops, and we have been doing workshops at every Saturday 11 a.m. since 2014. So these workshops are categorized as hack, code and data science workshops. Now today's workshop comes under the category of hack, which deals with workshops that are doing anything related to IoT, embedded systems, or using any particular hardware. Also the code workshops are using any APIs or any workshops that are dealing with software projects. They come under the code category. Finally, we have the data science category, which has all the workshops that are related to AI, machine learning, big data, etc., etc. Now our target audience are students, professionals and entrepreneurs, but we are more than happy to welcome anyone who is interested in our sessions. We focus on smart technology and its practical applications, and you can know more about us on our forum, which is members.theassembly.ae. And don't forget to tag us on our social media. We are very active on our social media. We are there on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube. You can see our social media handles on your screen. Make sure you follow us on social media. Now how are we going to do today's workshop? So firstly, we are going to be using the not the Raspberry Pi, but the Telegram CLI for Raspberry Pi, and then onto that we'll use Lua script. So for those of you who don't know, Lua script is a lightweight high level programming language, and it is very powerful programming language. It is basically written in ANSI C, and it has a very simple interface, and it's basically like somewhat similar to Python syntax. So if you know Python, you can deal with Lua script as well. So we'll be using this to code our Telegram bot, and these are some examples of applications that use Lua script. So Angry Birds, for instance, the game, and World of Warcraft use Lua script. Even Adobe Lightroom uses Lua script. So this tells us how powerful Lua script can be. So yeah, what do we need for this workshop? Okay, the parts list are simple. We need a Raspberry Pi, of course, then we need a Raspberry Pi camera module and a relay. Now the Raspberry Pi camera module and the relay are not they are optional. You don't need to have them, but in this workshop we'll be using them, so you can have them, but it's up to you if you want to have them or not. So the relay is essentially for turning on or off different appliances that you have at your place, and the camera module will be used to capture images and send it to your phone on your Telegram. And one more thing is, instead of Raspberry Pi camera module, you can also use a USB webcam. So then we have the wiring diagram. The wiring diagram is pretty simple. So yeah, as usual, the Raspberry Pi camera module goes into the camera interface, and then the relay module is attached using the wiring diagram given below. So all these diagrams and the code as well that I will be using later in the workshop will be there in the description sometime after the workshop, so you don't need to worry about that. Now let's get started. So we'll start with the wire. We'll start by showing how the wiring is done, and yep, so let's get straight into the wiring. Okay, so this is the hardware over here. I have the Raspberry Pi, then we have the relay module over here, and for the purpose of this workshop, I'll be using a buzzer to connect to the relay rather than using an appliance. So let's start with the wiring. So the wiring is pretty simple. The relay module has 3 wires. So it has the input, the VCC and the ground. So the input will go to GPI 21 of the Raspberry Pi. The VCC will go to the 5 volts on the Raspberry Pi, which is usually the top right pin, and then the ground will go to the ground pin on the Raspberry Pi, which is typically the 3rd pin from the top right. And then for connecting the relay, so you connect the positive terminal over onto the left side. Oh wait, sorry. Yeah, connect it onto the leftmost side of the relay module. Then you take an additional wire and you put it in the middle, and you connect that to the 3 volts of the Raspberry Pi. So it's basically that you have to, if you're using an original appliance, then you will probably need to connect the one end of the live wire here and the other end of the live wire there, but instead, rather than connecting it to the 3 volt, in my case you will be connecting it to the actual mains power supply. And then this wire over here is just the ground for the buzzer, so I'll put it in any of the ground pins on the Raspberry Pi. So there it is, and this is our entire wiring diagram. So our entire wiring. That's all you need for this. Now we can jump in straight into our Raspberry Pi. Alright, so okay, so we have our Raspberry Pi over here. Okay, then so before we start the process of installing the Telegram CLI, we must first run an update and upgrade to ensure our Raspberry Pi is running the latest software version. So for that we can run those simple commands, which are sudo apt-get update and sudo apt-get upgrade. So sudo apt-get update. Okay, I won't be running it because it will take up some time, so, and I've already done it, so but you guys can follow along. You can run these commands, sudo apt-get update and sudo apt-get upgrade. Okay, so once these commands are run, you need to install the libraries that we need to utilize this Telegram CLI. So we'll run 3 commands that are needed to install the required packages. So I'll just go ahead and copy those because those are pretty long commands. So rather than typing them out, I'll just copy paste them. So you don't need to worry, as all these commands and everything will be in the description. So you can just copy these commands straight from the description and you don't need to worry about them. Okay, so here we have the commands copied, and this will just, so this was the first command, sudo apt-get install -y libreadline-dev space libconfig-dev space libssi-dev. And since I have already installed it, so it's saying that it's already to the newest latest version and things like that. And it all, so these were 3 commands altogether and it just ran them all together. So anyways, the commands will be there in the description below, so you don't need to worry about that. Now what we need to do is we need to clone the Git repository which has the Telegram CLI. So that is, we'll say git clone --recursive space https://github.com/kenorb-tg.git. Run this command and it will download the files that you need to install. So it will clone the directory to your local machine, to your Raspberry Pi. So I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it again. Then what we need to do is to get the command CLI to compile on the Raspberry Pi, we'll first need to have to modify one of the source code files. So for that we can say, we can say nano and ~tilde/tg/tgl/mt proto-utils.c and hit enter. So this file will pop up. So now what you want to do is you want to search the file for something which is like bn2ull. So you can search by saying Control W and then capital B capital N 20ull. So search for this, hit enter, and it should bring you to this line over here. Now what you want to do over here is, you see this assert 0. So in your cases, if you are following along, it wouldn't be commented out. So what you need to do is you just need to comment it out. So that's how simple is it. So you can just comment that out and you can just comment that out. I think there should be another instance. Yeah, so there are 2 assert zeros. One is over here on the top and then another one should be at somewhere below it. So make sure you comment out both those instances of assert 0. And once you're done with that, click Ctrl X and save the changes and exit. Okay, now that we have cloned the Telegram CLI to the Raspberry Pi, we'll need to run the configuration script and compile it. So to do this, we can simply run these commands. So what we can say is, we can go to cd ~/tg. So tg is actually the file that the folder that we got from Git. So it stands for Telegram, of course. And then you can run /configure, and this will make, and finally you can after this you can run the make command. So this command takes some time to run. That's why I've already done it before. So you guys can run these commands one by one and then go have a cup of coffee and then come back. I mean, not now, but afterwards when you're trying this out, or if you're following along, you'll need to probably wait some time for this command to run because it takes some while to get it compiled. Now once you're done with that, you'll need to register with Telegram using your phone number. So for that you'll need to know the country code, like the country code for UAE is +971 and then followed by your phone number. So let's say if your phone number is 05012345667, the way you will enter it into the Telegram CLI is plus 9715012345667. That's how you'll enter the numbers over there. So for me, I have already done that, but you guys can do that. I'll show you how you'll do that. So you can, since we are already in the TG, we don't need to cd to that. So you need to say bin/telegram -cli space -k space tg -server .pub space -w, and run this, and it will ask you for your phone number. And if you don't already have a telegram account, it will ask you for your first name and your last name. If you already have an account, it probably won't ask you for your first name and last name. It would ask you for an authentication code that it has sent to you on your mobile phone number, and then once you add them, it will take you to the CLI. Now, assuming that we have registered, you guys have registered yourselves with the Telegram CLI, so we can start to receive and send messages. Now, if anyone sends you any message, it will pop up on the Telegram CLI. So let me just open that. Wait, I think this was the one. Okay, you can ignore the actions.lua part for now, but yeah, this is how the Telegram CLI will look like once you guys have registered. So let me just show you. So I'm actually messaging. So, and you can actually message yourself using Telegram. So you have something called saved messages, and once you are in there, you can message whatever you message in the saved messages. It's actually the same thing as messaging yourself. So if I want to say something, so let's say I'll message hello. So you can see that it says Amar Ali messaged hello. So yeah, similarly, if you get any other messages, they will pop up here, and this is what the Telegram CLI looks like. And you can also message people directly from here, so you don't need to use your phone every time. You can message them directly from here. So the way you do that is pretty simple. So it has a predefined instruction called message space msg space, now the first name and the last name. So you need to know the first name and last name of the person who you want to send the message to. So in my case, I'll just be sending the message to myself. So first name underscore last name. Make sure you put the underscore between the first name and the last name, otherwise you will probably run into errors, and then space, and then the message that you want to type. So let's say I just say hi, okay, and hit enter. So as you can see, it said that I have received a hi on the Telegram, and I also get a hi on my phone. I don't think if it's visible, but I get a message here. So yeah, this is how you can message using the Telegram CLI. And you can also send in pictures. You can not only message, you can send in pictures. So you can say message underscore photo space first name and last name separated by underscore. So first name underscore last name, and then space the location of the image. So let's say if your image is located on under the home folder, so then you'll say home slash or which, so you can just find the path for the image and then type it out there, and it will send an image to whoever you want to send it to. So if you want to send it to yourself or your friend or whoever, it will do that for you. Now let's automate this thing. So now we have to manually log into the Telegram API, Telegram CLI, and then type in message and then the first name, last name, and the message. So we can simplify this task by not having to do this and writing a bash script to do this automatically. So let's Control C and go out of this, and once we are out, we can type in so make sure that you are under your home py directory. So cd ... So once you are in your home directory, create a new file called tg.sh or whatever you want to name it. So I'll just name it sudo nano tg.sh. So in my case I happen to have this file from before, I already created it. So when I use this command, it will open up a file which already has stuff in it. So but in your case it will not have anything and you will probably need to type it out. So again, don't worry about the code typing. I'll probably have a GitHub link or the codes in the description below. So you'll get everything, the codes and the commands in the description after sometime after the workshop. So don't worry about that. So run this command, and this is the bash file that automates sending of a message. So the first line there specifies that the script is a bash script, and what happens next is the script will read in 2 arguments as variables and then pass them through to the Telegram CLI to send the message. Now that's how it'll work. So it will take 2 arguments from you, the first name, probably the first name, last name, and the message, and then send the message to that person without you having to manually go into the command line and do everything. So yeah, once you have it, you save it and exit. Now you need to, so by default it doesn't have the right permissions, this file, so you need to change the file permission. So you need to say sudo chmod and space -r space 0655, okay, wait, sorry, 0655, and then you can pass in the file path. So it was home/py/tg.sh and hit enter. So it has changed the file permissions for this file, and we can now run this command. So the way to run this command is, we can say, okay, let's do that. So the file location, so home /py/tg.sh space. Now here is where we pass in the parameters. So we say the first name and the last name. So let's say I am sending a message to myself, first name underscore last name space the message itself. So let's type in hello again and hit enter. So as you can see, it opens up the Telegram API, Telegram CLI, and it sends the message, says hello. It says that I have received a message called hello. Okay, we can now head on to the next part. So you can even tweak this code a bit to send images rather than simple text messages. So you can have the name, and then instead of the second parameter being what you call the message, you can have it to be a file location or image file path, and then send that as an image to the person. Okay, now is the time when we will be utilizing the Lua script. So the Lua interpreter is built into the Telegram CLI, which opens it to a quite wide variety of functionality. So, and this Lua interpreter allows us to program functions that trigger something when something happens on the Telegram CLI. For instance, we could do like literally anything when a person sends a message. So for this workshop, what we will be doing is, we will have a message in reply to a certain type of keyword or message, and then we can, let's say if the user says photo, then I can click a photo from the Raspberry Pi and send it to the user. If the user says remote or TV, I can switch on the TV for them. So, and all this will be automatically done, and you won't even need to move from your place. You'll just need to use your phone and send a message, and boom, that's done. So let's start. So the way we do that is, we need to first write a Lua script. So for that, we'll go to Visual Studio Code, and you can probably type it in here, but I prefer Visual Studio Code because Lua script is like Python, which is white space sensitive. So you might run into errors if you try to type in directly, but I don't think you'll probably need to type it in. I'll have the codes and everything linked in the description, so you can just probably copy paste from there. So What we'll do now is we'll go back to our tg, so we can go cd space tg, go into our tg directory, and then we'll create a new file called actions.lua. Now in my case I have already created it, but however I'll still be typing the code out for you guys. So nano actions.lua. So once you run it, it will open up the nano editor for you, and you can either paste in the code over there or type in the code over there. But let me just switch over to Visual Studio Code. Okay, not this, sorry. Yeah, so now we are on Visual Studio Code, and this is part of the code for our Lua actions.lua. So the code has this main function that we'll be using, and this function is called every time that the CLI receives a new message, which is on message received, this function over here. So this is the function where all our functionality of the code will be, or all our functionality will be typed in. So we'll have if else conditions and everything within this function. The other functions are just there so that we don't get those constant warning messages or error messages. So just to ignore those messages, we have all them. Okay, so what does this on our id function do? So if this function is false, when on our id function, what it does is it gives us the id of the currently logged in user, so we can use that to reply to messages or like whatever you want to do with that. And then there are other methods similar to that, so these methods like on secret chat update, on user update, on chat update, these are functions that are called when something is updated, there is any updated information on the user, and the variables provided back is that the user was updated. And so all the details about what updates are done are here. Then there is a function called get difference. Now what it means is that all updates after this last client execute have been received. And similarly we have the bin log replay, and yeah, you'll probably use only this function most of the time. So let's start typing in the code there. So for the code, it is very simple. These are just the if else statements for the code, and let's type them out. So we'll start by the if statement. Just wait a second please. Okay, so let me keep this aside. Yes, okay, now we can type in the code. So we have give tab, then if message dot out then return. Okay, and then we can end. So what does this do? It checks if the message is outgoing and not incoming. So for instance, if we are sending a message, then it won't do anything, but if we receive a message from someone else, then is when we want something, when we want it to do something. So if it's just an outgoing message, we simply ignore it, we don't have to do anything with it. So then we'll check if it's not a message dot out, then it's probably incoming message. So we check that if message dot text equal anything, you can have like anything. So you can say if message dot text equals ping, and this has to be within single quotes. And one thing to make sure is that since we are hard coding this value, whenever you are sending a message from your mobile or the CLI itself, you need to make sure that you keep in mind how the capitalization of the word is done. So if it's a small p in the beginning, it has to be a small p in the beginning. It won't work if you have a capital P in the beginning. I mean, you could do that using ping or ping with the capital E, but I mean, for the time being, you can tweak the code, but for the time being we are just using this. So if the message is ping, then what do? Then we will send a message. So it has a message called so it has a function called send underscore message, which is the same as sending a message from the Telegram CLI to the person. So and then it takes as a parameter, it takes the person who you want to send the message to and the message itself and a few other parameters. So for the name of the person, we will say message dot from dot print underscore name, comma, and the message itself will be, since we received a ping, we will send a pong. So yeah, and then the third parameter is OK underscore CB, and finally the last parameter is false, and lastly we say end. Okay, now this is it. You can save the code and we can go back to our VNC and try this code out. So yep, we are on VNC. So the way you run it is, yes, this way. So you say bin / telegram -cli space -k space tg server.pub space -W space -s and then the name of the file. So that the final part of the code, which says -s and then actions.lua, specifies that you need to use the Lua script to for the Telegram CLI, and once you click enter, now what you can do here is you can what I'll do is I'll open up Telegram on my phone and send a ping message. So I'll say ping and see, as you can see, as it is evident from here, that it received a ping message and it sent a pong message in return. I think you can probably see it here. Okay, it's not very clear, but yeah, it sent a message back. So this means that our Lua script is working fine. So we can go out and clear this. Okay, what next? So now this was pretty simple, like this was us sending a reply back to someone who has sent us a message. Now this can be used for different situations, like whenever someone says bye, you need to reply, you can reply back bye to them, so that you don't have to open up your phone every time for that. Or when someone says thank you, you can reply welcome. So these, or like you can program it to do whatever you feel like doing. And now what we're trying to do is we'll use the Lua script to actually write code which will help us get a picture from the Raspberry Pi camera. So it will use the Raspberry Pi camera and send us a picture. So the way we can do that is, first of all, you need to make sure that your Raspberry Pi camera is working, and to do that you can use the raspi still command to check if your camera is functional or not. Okay, so let's begin with that. So when you are under the tg directory, you can create a new directory. Okay, not under tg, probably, or wherever you feel like, it's fine, it doesn't really matter, but you can go back and then create a directory over here, mkdir, and then name it camera or anything. So I have already created it, so I won't be doing that again. So then once you go into the camera, so you say sudo cd camera, and once you are in there, you create a file called camera.sh. Again, it's a bash file that will simply run the raspi still command. So raspi still command is used to capture an image using the Raspberry Pi camera module. So we'll create a bash file to run just that command, and then the output of that command we'll send it over Telegram to the person who we want to send to. So yeah. Okay, so you can create a new file, sudo nano camera.sh. I have already created it, and this file is like literally 2 lines of code. So the first line itself is just telling what type of the file it is. It's a bin bash file, which lets it know that it's a bash script. And the second file is the only file that we should be interested in, which is the raspi still, which is the normal command for taking a picture using Raspberry Pi. Then we have the -w, which specifies the width of the image, and then we have the -h, which specifies the height of the image, and of course you might know that the -o tells us where or by what name do we need to store the image. So if you don't give the exact path to store the image, it will by default it will store it in the same directory. So yeah, I'll save it as photo.jpg in the same directory, and then once you're done with this, Control X and save it, and you can go outside. Okay, now that we have done this, we need to again change the file permissions for this. So you can again go sudo chmod space 755 and then give the path of the file itself. So I think since we are in the same folder, we can just say camera.sh. okay, you can run it, but I've already done it. I mean, there's no harm in doing it again, but yeah, I just don't want to do that again. So next is, again we'll need to go back to our Lua script, edit it to add code. So a line of code that tells us, okay, that when you receive a certain message, you need to send back an image from the Raspberry Pi. So in order to do that, we need to go back again to our actions.lua file and edit it. So if you are editing it on the Raspberry Pi, you'll probably need to cd back and then go to cd tg, okay, not tg, I think oh yeah, tg itself. So tg and then nano actions.lua. But since we are not doing it here, we can just go shift over to our Visual Studio Code. Okay, so now we are in Visual Studio Code, and it has even for this the photo part of the code is exactly or more or less similar to the one which we just did for the message, like the ping pong message. It's pretty much the same. So I think we can just copy this line of code, these lines of code, and we can paste them over here, right? Now the only difference is the message. So if we receive a message which says ping, we respond back with pong. If we receive a message which asks us for a photo, so it says photo, then what do? So instead of sending a message, we send a photo this time. Send a photo, and then this remains the same, and instead of the message over here, we type in the file name, so the image name, which is photo.jpg. So if you saved it as a different name, you give that name over here, and you might be probably thinking, okay, it sends the image, but when does it capture the image? Right, you need to add in a line of code which actually runs the bash script that actually captures the image, and then this line of code can send the photo. So yeah, so that line will probably remain the same for if you want to run any other tasks on the operating system. So it's like os.execute, and then within the parentheses you pass in the parameters, or you pass in what you want to execute, like the command itself. So now that we are running a bash script, we pass in the file path with the bash file, because bash files can directly be run. But if you are running, let's say, a Python command, so you'll probably need to type your command the same way you do on a Raspberry Pi. So what's the normal way you would run a Python command on a Raspberry Pi? You would probably say Python or Python 3 space the name of the file along with the path, right? So that's how you'll do that over here as well, which brings me back to my point where I said you can literally do anything using Lua script. So it gives you this os.execute gives you a lot of functionality, so you can you can compile C, you can run C programs or any other programs that you are able to run on Raspberry Pi, you can run them from here, which is pretty interesting. So not only can you automate tasks, you can do a lot more than just automating tasks. So you can have a lot of keywords and do anything and everything using just your Telegram. Oh wow, that's really cool though. Okay, so coming back to our bash script, we can say, we can give in the path, so home/pi/ it was in the camera folder, so camera, and then it was named camera.sh. so this is it, nothing else. This is, if you run this command, okay, let's go back to our VNC or our Raspberry Pi, and we can actually try this command out. So again, we can run our, open up our CLI, okay, and then once we're there, what we can do is we can have this thing running. So you can take your Telegram app on your phone, and then instead of ping this time, type in photo. Okay, once you type in photo, and make sure that the P is not capitalized, okay, and then press enter. So the camera will probably capture something and send. Okay, it captured and now it's sending. So as you can see, I got an image over here which is not so visible in the camera, but yeah, I got something. So yeah, that's how you get an image. So this is very useful for when you want to use your Raspberry Pi as a security device. So let's say if you want to, you have someone unaccompanied at home and you want to make sure that they are safe at all times, so you can regularly from time to time run this command, and you can have a look at what's happening in the house, or even for the infants when they are sleeping, so you can have a picture of them, like to make sure they are sleeping, or if they are awake, or even if you can even have a video recorded to you and sent to you. I think that's possible. I'm not so sure, but yeah, you can check that later. So okay, so for the final part of this, what we'll be doing is we'll be using the relay module to control any of the appliance at our home. So we can use it to turn on TVs, turn on laptop charger, turn on AC, lights, anything. The sky's the limit for what you can do with this. So but for this workshop, we have connected it to the buzzer, so when I run the command towards the end, you will hear a buzzer beeping. So for that, we'll need to have a file called relay.py, which is a Python file which allows us to use the relay module. So let's do that. So okay, I think I created this the relay.py file in the same folder as the camera.sh. So let's head into cd camera, and I have a file over here which is called relay.py. okay, or if you don't have one, you can create sudo nano relay.py, right? Okay, not really.py but relay.py. Now I'll shift over to Visual Studio Code to show you the code for this, right? Okay, now we are in our Visual Studio, and this is the relay.py file that I was talking about. So I'll just go through the code and explain what it does, and you can probably copy this file from the description or the GitHub link. I think I'll probably add up a GitHub link, and you can download this file or copy this file from there. Okay, so this line, these are just the import statement, import time, you might know, it's self-explanatory. And then this one, rpi.gpio as GPIO, this allows us to access the GPIO pins on the Raspberry Pi. And the channel equal 21 is the pin number where you have actually connected the input pin of the relay. So as you might remember, when I was showing you the wiring diagram, or when I was doing the wiring actually, I told you that I connected the relay module's input pin to pin number 21 on the Raspberry Pi. But however, if you change this pin, you probably need to change it here as well. Other than that, this is the setup, the GPIO setup, normal thing, and then this is when you want to turn the relay module on, and this is when you want to turn the relay module off. So simply these are just two different methods. So GPIO.output, and then you pass in the pin. So the pin is the same as the channel. So I'm passing in that. So you can even hard code it to be 21, and then low is for turning it off, GPIO.high is for turning it on. And then this is just a sample code to, like in my case, I'm not keeping the device on for forever. Like if I say buzz, like this is what I'm going to be using later. So if I say buzz, the buzzer will beep for 1 second and then it will turn off. But you can, it's up to you. You can remove all this code, like this code, and you can either have motor.on. So you can check if the relay is already on and you get a message, you can turn it off. If it's already off, you turn it on. So, and vice versa, you do that. And finally you have the cleanup, and yeah, then that's the cleanup. So it frees up resources. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Let's go back to our VNC and try and run this. So assuming that you now have your relay file. Okay, before we even do that, I forgot one thing. We need to go back to Visual Studio Code, and you also need to update your actions.lua file. So right now the actions.lua file only knows two things. It knows that whenever it receives a message says ping, it needs to reply back with pong. Photo, it needs to send a photo. Now it also needs to send or turn on the relay when it receives a message. So you can just copy paste this, and so instead of photo I'll just say buzz and pass in the path of where the relay.py is stored. But not just that, I'll probably need to say, so like I told before, we need to run it the way you run any normal Python command on your Raspberry Pi, which is python3 space the name of the file, and in my case it's under the camera, but it's not camera.sh, it is relay.py. Yes, I think this is correct, right? Let me see if I made a mistake here. No, I think everything is fine. Okay, and then you don't probably need send photo, you will probably need send, or you don't even need anything, but okay, we can have a message sent to us. So we can say send message, and this will remain the same, and instead of the image name over here, we can simply pass in the message. So since it's turning on or off the relay, so we can just have a message telling us that okay, turned on the relay module, or turn on the relay, right? And save this file, and yeah, that's it. Now we can again go back to our VNC. So once we are there, what we can do is we can, okay, we first need to go to tg directory. Okay, once we are in tg, we'll run the telegram CLI, hit enter. Okay, once we are in there, what we need to do is we need to use our phones to send a message. So okay, I'm going to send a message to myself. So I'll start with all the three. Okay, so I'll first send ping message. Okay, there it is. It says that it received a ping message, responded with a pong message. All right, now let's try the photo, and notice that I'm not capitalizing the first letters. So if you use your phone keyboard, by default it will automatically capitalize the first letter, which you don't want it to do because you have hard coded the value as having the first letter not capitalized. Or you can even change it in the actions.lua file to have it with the first letter capitalized. It's totally up to you. You can play around with these settings. Now if I send a message called photo, it should probably send me back an image. So as you might be able to see this number over here, which it was just a percentage telling me that it's uploading a photo. So you see, I received a message of photo and it sent a photo. So yeah, wait, if I can show you, it sent me this photo, which is a photo of the ceiling because my camera is pointed towards the ceiling. But yeah, so now let's try the final one, which was buzz, right? So are you ready? Okay, so let's see what happens if I send the message. So here we go. Yeah, so it received a message called buzz. Then it went to the Python relay.py file, turned on the relay, turned it off because we programmed it that way, and then it also sent us a message saying, okay, I turned on the relay. So this is just the tip of the iceberg of what you can do using Telegram CLI and the Lua script. You can actually program it to do a lot more than just this. You can program it to run different tasks automatically, run servers, or like whatever I mean, the sky is the limit. Your imagination is the limit. You can, anything you can think of and do it programmatically, you can probably do it here. So that's yeah, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the session, and I hope it was useful, and you will probably use this someone or sometime in your life. All right then, thank you for watching the video. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon if you want to get notified every time we upload a new video or go live. And also don't forget to subscribe or tag us on our social media. Follow us there. We are very active to be up to date on any events or anything that we are doing. By the way, we have a really cool session on Tuesday with Etisalat IoT, so you can check our social media on links for that. I will also put a link to that in the description below, so make sure you register. There are limited number of spaces, so look forward to seeing you there. All right then, take care. Bye bye.